Yes, this is a shameless plug for Crash Test Goat and the Goat Army. This is a merch plug. It is the hoodie with the hoodie up and down. And so there you go, merch plug. All right, we're here with the Hayabusa again because I said some things in my last video and people were asking me a lot of questions about it, so I thought I would at least show some of what I was talking about. But before we get really started on that, you see how I have the camera pointed at the axle down there. I already have the cotter pin out, and we'll lower this there. Okay. I would like everyone to take a good hard look. Let me find a flashlight if I have one. No? All right. Take a good hard look, if this thing will focus in, at the chain. Notice that the teeth on the gears are pretty much centered between the links. See that? They're hanging about right there right now. They're a little bit off center, but not bad. When people set chains up or set the tension on chains or put a new chain on or put a tire on or something like that, they'll go by these marks right here that you can barely see. They'll say, oh, this one has, the big mark, and then it's almost on the next little mark. So that's okay, because if we go around to the other side and we have the big mark here and then the little mark, get a better angle on that. Big mark, little mark. It's okay. No, 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 no. That's not how this works. The way this works is, you notice those marks were not the same. They were not in exactly the same place. You want the chain and the gear to center on each other properly. When I first got this bike, little pointer here, the chain was hard up against this edge of the teeth. All right? The way you change that is by twisting the tire, by changing the position of the adjusters. Now, when I did all that, I tensioned the chain where I thought it would be. But as you can see, it's got a bit of slop. So right now, I'm going to go through the process of tightening it. But that's boring. So I'm going to do some fast forward things here. And I'll show you some of the things I'm doing. But the first thing, before I do that, loosening this big nut back here. You see this big nut? Yeah, big, huge nut. That is a huge nut. That thing is like 36 millimeter. So you don't break that loose with a breaker bar. You break it loose with one of these babies. You want it just loose enough to where you can do things with it. And you see how this nut is not rounded off? The other side is rounded off because people were very foolish. But what we're going to do is we're going to take out some tension on this, add some tension to the chain, so that means come out. I'll do 3 flats. No, you're not there. Now it's on. 1, 2, 3. That will move it. That just taking enough tension off the nut to do that will do that. On the other side, we'll do the same thing. Get it up to it. And 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Chain tension now, much better, but still not enough. So I'll do another 3. On both sides. There. Now I check my chain tension again. And it's a lot better. It's a little tighter than I want it to be, but this is a stretched bike, and you don't want a really sloppy chain on a stretched bike if you can help it, because it tends to get really rough when you switch gears or get on or off the throttle. So those are both basically where they should be. Now, in order to check the centering of the chain, you get it in neutral, you spin the tire, and look at the chain. is it's centered here. As you can see right now, it has more gap on this side than this side. But the magic of things changing when you change something else. If I tighten this nut back up, it's going to change the alignment there. And now you'll see it right now. It changes the alignment just ever so slightly. I'll roll it again. And as you can see, it is now centered, or even slightly to the side here. They move back and forth pretty well, but it's just tightening that nut moved it from being hard against this one to being almost over to the other side. So that's how you have to check things. People don't double check this stuff. They wind up with a chain running against the side of the gear, causes wear on the gear, causes wear on the chain, makes the chain run sideways, which is never a good thing. So that's the first little thing we're doing here. I'll put the cotter pin back in over there now that the chain tension is approximately proper and its alignment is good, and then we'll get on with other things. Alrighty, here's the front side of the merch. See, Goat was wearing this exact same thing or something like it in the chat last night. So I am so cool because I'm just like the Goat. Anyway, now what we're doing, I'm going to show you the problems we have here. From the center stem of the handlebars to the front of the seat on this bike, there's the center, there's the pivot point, is 26.5 inches. If you go over to my Ducati, like so, all right, you do the exact same measurement. It is 23.5 inches. So 26.5 to 23.5, that's a 3-inch difference in reach from the center of the handlebars to the front of the seat where it hits the tank. Now, watch what happens when I get on this bike. This is really in the way, folks. I got to swing my leg way high to get over there. Not even near as, my Ducati is not even near as bad. So anyway, get that over. Okay, now, when I'm sitting here like this with my hand on the bars, there's my crotch right there. There's the tank right there. That's where it wants to be sitting on the bike. Now, I put my foot up. Now it pulls me forward, and my knee is right in here. But I have no traction here on this tank. I've got zero traction, and I'd really rather be back here. But because of the electric stretch, I have to lean forward farther. So it's a very long motorcycle this way. That's one of the first ergonomics I just hate. It's so long. It's made for larger people with long ass monkey arms. That's what it's meant for. Secondly, you see how I'm just two-footing it, no problem. The seat is very wide right in your crotch right here. It's very, very, very wide. It's uncomfortable like that. I figured out where that was with my foot a while back, so I don't hit it anymore. Come over to the Ducati. All right. First off, the Ducati seat's probably a little higher off the ground than the Busa's seat. This tail is a little bit closer to the ground. It's like an inch more ground clearance. Right now, I'm more on my toes. Even though I'm still seated completely on the seat, I'm more on my toes. And when I come here, the reach is much better. I'm actually more upright here than I would be on the Busa. Put my foot up. See how my leg has less of an angle here than I did on the Busa? And I'm right on the tank pads. If I get my butt way back. But I very seldom get up really close on the tank on this because I don't need to. If I put my left foot up, you can see how my body engages right here. I've got 2 inches. So it's much more comfortable like that. leaning forward, since this is a sports bike, this is more aggressive here, more weight on my wrists if I'm not careful, and I don't use my core to pick myself up. But on the Busa, you've got to literally lay on the tank, which means you can't move around. And the seat right here is about 60% as wide as the seat on that Busa. Let me get something and measure it for you. And that's what really makes the Busa uncomfortable, is that wide seat. You slide around. I have a pretty grippy seat with good contours to hold me in the center, and I don't float around on it. The Busa seat, since you're not watching, across where my legs would go was 10 inches side to side, and the narrow part is about 6. On the Ducati, the seat right here is 6.5 inches wide, and the narrow part is 4.25. So it's a much narrower seat. It's much narrower here. The ergonomics to get to the handlebars are much better, even though I'm in a tuck on these foot pegs, and they seem to be higher. There we go. They seem to be higher. They're not that bad. Okay, I usually run like this, my foot dangling down here by the peg. Now, there's another thing people never figure out, or never seem to be concerned about: how to get this foot right here onto that lever with the least amount of problems. My foot is basically centered on the lever right now. I'm hitting it with my big toe. So I just pick up. When I push down, I don't have to push that far, but I can push like crazy if I want to. On the Busa, and the same thing for the shifter as well. The guy who owns the Busa is coming over here to have a look at it, and I'm going to fit him for the ergo, so I'll show you how that works when we get there. But on this one, when I get on it, I'm really low, put my foot up. This is actually feels more tight. And see where the pedal is? If I'm riding like this usually. So I got to pick it up, reach it over, and then put it down. It's basically on top of my foot now. It's maybe 3/4 of an inch too high. Okay, it's a nice firm pedal though, but you have to pick up and go over here. The shifter though is horrible. I'll get the camera over there and show you the shifter. All right, everybody see the shifter right here? Good. Now watch what happens. Going down the road, minding my own business, the foot's right here. Basically, or it's back here. Right? Look where the shifter is compared to my foot when I'm just riding normally. It's actually above my toe. That means downshifting is very difficult, and upshifting, you got to move your foot a long way. This is basically where your foot will be when you're riding, unless you're back here. You drop in, it wants to be pointed down anyway. Now this might be good for shifting, but it really doesn't give you much. I had two false neutrals with this thing yesterday, because when it picked up, I didn't pick up far enough. So that needs to be adjusted as well. That's bad ergonomics. And that is why the ergonomics on this bike suck for now. When Johnny gets here, I'm going to seat him on the bike. I'll get those shifters, the shifter and brake set, and we'll go from there. But this is right now is why I say the seat is very wide. Everything forces you forward against the tank. All right. The ergonomics on the pedals, on the foot levers is very bad. I already rotated these down as far as they'll go, so that when you grab, it doesn't, instead of reaching up to grab, you're reaching out to grab. So, and on your brake, same thing. When you reach out, you're like this. You're up here, you have to go up. And you don't want to have to rotate your hand up to reach the brake lever, which was up here. You want to reach out for it and down. See how my hand kind of rotates the throttle closed when I'm hitting the brake? That's what you want. They set them up with this thing was up here, which is horrible. So that's the kind of things that you run with ergonomics on a bike. Last thing is, this Hayabusa weighs at least 580 pounds. This Ducati with a full tank of gas is 397 pounds. Yeah, that's almost, well, 190, 100, right around 180 pounds lighter than this, with almost the same power, which makes that stupid and this problematic. Anyway, let me cut this video because he'll be here in a moment, and then we'll be able to get some ergonomics set up and show you how it's done.